look, it's front end of the week. They're still in qualifying right now, but the draws are out. And why not start with the women's field, where Bianca Andreescu, as we mentioned, is a wild card. And you start on the top half of the draw. Aryna Sabalenka, as we know, the world number one, Australian Open finalist. She's going to be, certainly one of the key favorites and key contenders to, of course, go all the way and win this thing. You look a little further down, we have players like Naomi Osaka, who's obviously within the top 20, seeded 16th. Just in that second quarter, lurking, number 10, Victoria Mboko. We have Emma Raducanu there, Amanda Anisimova. Just maybe
loaded.
Yes, it's a pretty big top half, to be honest. I guess early impressions, I mean, for me, I don't really see a hiccup for Sabalenka through her first few matches. I would love to circle and see a round of 16 between Sabalenka and Osaka would be fantastic.
Absolutely. And just as I'm looking, I really like you having that draw up there for me. I don't have to look down at a piece of paper or go through all the little tabs at the top of my screen here. First round match against a qualifier or big serving Alicia Parks. And, Parks is one of those players that I really feel for the last 2 or 3 years we've talked about waiting for that breakout. Yeah. And it hasn't happened as quickly as we've expected, but she's got a booming serve. She's been hidden recently with Serena Williams and posted a bunch of those clips on her Instagram, which, again, I feel like just teasing us with the imminent potential return of Serena Williams, whose former coach, by the way, Eric Heckman, was our guest last week. So check that out if you haven't. He does speak in detail about what we can expect from Serena if she returns to the tour, as it seems will happen at the age of 44. But beyond that, you're right. I like the initial few rounds for Sabalenka and would love to see that matchup against Naomi Osaka, who, if my eyesight is good here, that's a 16th seed, but I would put her top 10 on a hard court and think that would be a very, very tricky matchup for both players. And consider either one of them emerging from that as a good favorite to move forward. Vicky Mboko, I just love seeing her play so much, and we've only had her at the top levels of women's tennis for so long, and it's still super exciting to see her go up against some of these players for the first time, see how her game matches up, see how they adjust to her. She's certainly not catching anybody by surprise anymore. They've all done their homework at this point, and nobody is going to take the 19-year-old lightly, that's for sure.
No, but even just for me this year in the past few months, seeing her improvement, not just the physicality and the way she competes, I feel like the backhand is stronger. She serves more precise. Her patterns and her footwork and movement, everything on court just feels stronger and stronger. Like it's all coming together. We knew the tools were there, but maybe they were a little more raw last season. And now, she's a fully fledged pro with such a high skill set and talent, and she's left an impression on all the top players she's played. And I like her path here, honestly. The first few matches, Kalinskaya is a great player, someone who's been on this podcast before. I feel like Mboko has a bit higher of a ceiling, though, when I've seen Mboko play her very best. And I would see her getting through that match if those two face one another. We've talked about her struggles. I just don't trust Emma Raducanu.
And that's not a knock, right? Like that's
it's not
an unjust or unfair critique, but it's just, I think, fair enough. She's capable of it, but we just don't see it as consistently enough as we'd like.
Exactly.
And but hey, look, she's still got a seed next to her name there. I mean, this is someone who's come a long way since that U.S. Open triumph in 2021, which is now coming up on 5 years ago. And someone who's faced, criticism and pressure like few tennis players, I believe, ever have, because she had that success so young, and she was growing up in that, fishbowl of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, where they're just so difficult and so tough with their players. The tabloids, the press are just scathing in their reviews, and they wanted to see more so quickly. They hardly gave her a chance to even enjoy that slam result, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And look, I mean, I hope she wins a match at least. And to me, Amanda Anisimova, like, kudos to her, because I feel like she's looked so loose and pressure free. I understand that the big finals runs are coming up in the latter half of the season with Wimbledon and the US Open, but she has not missed a beat since the start of this year. So in control. I think she has the best two-handed backhand on the planet, to be honest, in the women's field. It's fantastic. It's such a weapon. And I want to see Anisimova and Boko. That's one of those matchups. Two young players still. And Anisimova, she took time off. She had big success when she was a teenager, 17, making the French Open final. She's still a young player. I would love to see that as a potential round of 16 would be a fantastic match.
Yeah, and someone that we both had the chance to interview in her visits to Toronto, so she's been very gracious and obliging to us at Matchpoint Canada, as has Vicky, obviously. I got to give a shout out to Vicky because she likes our stuff on Instagram. She is checking out what we do, and she's just from down the road in Burlington, so we're so happy for her, and she's a big friend of the podcast. By the way, on Instagram, at Matchpoint Canada, give us a follow if you haven't already, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Matchpoint Can. And on YouTube as well, if you're watching on YouTube, which is great to have you there. Shout out to our viewers. Please subscribe. I know it's, kind of sometimes an annoyance. I don't always subscribe to, as many channels as I should, but it would do wonders for me and Ben and the podcast here. So if you could take 30 seconds out of your day to go do that on YouTube, we'd really appreciate that too.
Yeah, we would love it. If we carry on within this draw, Coco Gauff, as you mentioned, number 4 seed. Bianca really gets a dream draw, to be honest, getting a qualifier in the first round. I hope that's a match she can pull through because if she does, BB versus Coco would be pretty great. That would be a packed house for a matchup like that. Even if it's not center court, wherever they play that one, fans will be there for sure. So, look, I'm not going to claim Bianca's up for a challenge like that yet, but it would be a good little litmus test to see maybe where her level is currently at if she can get through a first-round qualifier.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully she doesn't get Marina Stikusic as her first-round match, Canadian versus Canadian, but she is into the second round of qualies, and we wish her all the best too.
Yeah, and for Coco, it's been a little bit up and down. I know the Australian Open was difficult. Aryna Svitolina's had her number this year. Beat her in Australia, lost just 3 games there. And
hey, Aryna Svitolina's had a lot of people's number this year. So
no, you're right.
She's no shame in that.
She's been playing fantastic. Alexander Iala, I think, is going to be a big draw here too. Young Filipino who's a fantastic talent. If we scroll a little further down, who do you like here? Jasmine Paolini, the 7th seed. I also feel like going a little further down, the 5th seed, Jessica Pegula.
Is that still top half? Is that still the top half, or is that bottom half?
We're now into the bottom half. Sorry. So Jasmine Paolini, this is the second quarter.
I listen. Sometimes we get it right, and sometimes we don't. And I'd been a little bit soured on Jessie Pegula towards the end of last season. I felt like not seeing the results as consistent. Maybe going back to last summer. Excuse me. But she's been on a tear. Ever since then. I feel like, and so really proving that she has no desire to slow down as she's into her 30s. And still has a lot to offer out there, and she's also just super nice to chat with, and a terrific player. So yeah, I am no longer betting against Jessie Pegula, and although hey, look at the strength of these draws, she could get Donna Vekic right off the hop in her first round match, which just again shows you, especially on the women's side, I love these 1,000 level draws.
Yeah, big time early round matches. Bekic gets the quali spot. She has been struggling, but she's a great talent. Yelena Ostapenko is in the mix. You never know what you're going to get from her. And then, on the veteran side, along with Pegula, Belinda Bencic is in this little section. Bencic, Pegula, both kind of top tier talents. And I call Bencic a veteran. She still hasn't turned 30 years old herself. I think there's a number of years of tennis left for her in her career to achieve more big things.
Yeah. You know who maybe doesn't have a bunch of years left, but I see her at the bottom there is wild card Venus Williams. Love to see it. Up against a qualifier, which again, for her, as we said earlier with BB, that's as good as you can probably hope for. Although someone who's coming in with a couple of match wins under their belt, so you always have to keep that in mind. But just listen, folks, enjoy it while you can still watch it. And if we get to see Venus and Serena both back on tour in 2026, my goodness, isn't that something? And you'd have to think undoubtedly they team up and play doubles together. And speaking of doubles, and just while it's on my mind, is it not true that Leila Annie Fernandez is
Yep.
back with Venus Williams, reuniting for the first time since the U.S. Open, where they had such a, I want to say, unexpected, successful run, and just so much fun as partners out there on the court too. And hey, maybe that was partially a driving force in Serena's desire to come back, because she joked online on social media about being maybe just a little bit jealous about seeing Big Sis out there with someone else having fun in doubles.
Yeah.
But it was a cool partnership, and I'm excited to see those two together again here.
Oh, it was amazing. And kudos to US Open last year. I've never been so invested in doubles in quite some time, with what the US Open did, their unique format to start things off. I watched it through its entirety with the mixed, exactly. Then the women's doubles, you have Venus and Layla making this run. I mean, it was really exciting, really thrilling. And I think for Layla, who we've seen it firsthand a little bit. She's such a great player, great person. She's really hard on herself, I feel. She's her harshest critic. Sometimes I feel like that holds back her results in some cases. And, the mood when she's around Venus, everything is so light, so fun. Everything is so loose. I think it honestly helps Layla's game overall.
Great veteran presence to be with her, someone that she can learn from, almost like having a coach on the court with you, truthfully, when you think about it. And who knows if that's, in the future for Venus and or Serena one day. But I think the perfect kind of mentor for Leylah Annie Fernandez, who still, hey, look, Leylah Annie, through some of the ups and downs, still a seeded player, still a top 30 player, and still someone who's got, again, like you mentioned with Anisimova earlier, still so young, still so many years ahead of her on the tour. She opens against either Sofia Kenin or Katerina Siniakova, and I think that's a winnable match for her. Then, much like we said with Bianca earlier, it's going to get real tough real quick in the second round, potentially having, not potentially, if she makes it to round 2, it'll be Mira Andreeva.
Yeah, look, Mira Andreeva, she's defending the title here in Indian Wells. I wonder, will she be feeling pressure based on that? Does she think about it? She has played, I think very good tennis again this year. Post Indian Wells, after that title last season, I feel like she had a few hiccups and a few down results. She was less consistent. But the Mira that I saw at last year's Indian Wells, I feel like is back. And I think she's one of the smartest players on tour, particularly for her age. She knows how to open up the court. She can use variation. She can use slice. She can change direction on a dime. That would be a major test for Layla if that match happens, which I really think it will. Trusting in Layla kind of getting the job done early on against Kenin or Siniakova. Elena Rybakina as well is in that third quarter. Her first event, I believe, since winning the Australian Open. So we'll get a sense of how well rested she is, if she's, still incredibly focused. I don't know that she's had big success at Indian Wells in the past, but maybe that doesn't matter. And Alina Svitolina, we just talked about, she's the number 9 seed as we venture down to this draw. And then you have Karolina Muchova, number 13, who just picked up her first WTA 1000 of her career. We haven't even got to Iga Swiatek yet. So there are a lot of names.
There's so many of them. And Karolina Muchova to me is someone who is, destined to have a good stretch as a top 10 player. And I think if not for injury, we would have seen that happen already.
For sure.
She's just terrific, can never, ever be underestimated. And also, if you look in the bottom section of that draw there, how about the 24th seed? And it is strange seeing that number next to her name, someone who's really risen up the ranks and, the last 2 years in women's tennis. And that's Qinwen Zheng, who has been away a little bit, I guess, injuries. Only seen her twice since Wimbledon. I believe she played one event in the fall in China, and then she came back and played Qatar, I think, a few weeks ago. But once she gets up and running again, look out, because she is hungry to achieve great things in the sport.
I will say she's way better than that ranking next to her name right now in that 24th seed. And even just getting some match play in Doha, she pushed Rybakina 3-set 7-5 in the third. And she had a tough 3-set win over Alicia Parks, actually. She had a couple 3-set wins and then went toe-to-toe with Rybakina. So I feel like her level is really close. I know she took off Dubai, and maybe she doesn't want to rush things back and give her body some time between tournaments. Maybe she's looking at a reduced calendar a little bit for the next month or two. But yeah, I'm excited to see her back in action. And she has a pretty nice draw. It would be great to see Muchova and Zheng play. play. Iga Swiatek, number 2 seed, and she has historically played incredibly well in these stretches in Doha and Dubai. Indian Wells, she's had her moments, I believe. I don't know if she's actually won it though. So I'm curious to see how she'll fare in these types of conditions. But look, she's still seeded number 2, and I feel like nobody's really talking about her right now.
Yeah, I guess Swiatek won in 2022 and 2024.
Okay.
Beating Maria Sakkari both times in the final, 6-4, 6-1, and then 6-4, 6-love, as she often dishes out.
It's not going to be a final this time.
No, it's not. But yeah, Iga clearly plays well here, so look out for her. Elena Rybakina has won the event as well in 2023. Sabalenka's been finalist twice, including last year going down in 3 sets to Andreeva. So, hey, look, there's a lot of women that are probably feeling real confident heading in because they've had pretty good success here in the past. Time to move over to the men's draw, would you say?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't know if you have any predictions on the women.
Oh, God, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me this because, we don't typically excel in the prediction department. And that's tricky. I feel like, Indian Wells, the first big hard court event that I consider of the year. Tough to see how people are adjusting to the courts and the conditions in the desert and just being over in North America with the time change and everything like that. But okay, if you want to make predictions, you got to go first so I can kind of wrap my head around what I'm going to throw a dart out and see where I hit on.
I'm going to go, well, it's not off the cuff. I'm going to give her a shout because I really totally forgot that she won it in 2024. I do remember her 2022 title because it was part of her massive win streak during that season. Nobody's talking about Iga Swiatek. When she's faltered in big events in the past, I feel like she's been carrying the load of a lot of weight and pressure on her shoulders. I think she has a pretty good draw actually on that bottom half for the most part. And why not a title here from Iga Swiatek? As much as as there are a number of players playing fantastic tennis, Rybakina coming off the Australian Open title, as we know, Muhova with the WTA 1000. Don't sleep on Iga. I'll go. Maybe it's not a surprise pick, but let's go with Swiatek for her 3rd title in the desert.
Fair enough. Well, I think we're going to see a first-time winner in Indian Wells this year. And, Aryna Sabalenka, to me, is primed to take the title here for the first time. Surprising that she hasn't already. But like I said, she's come awfully close twice. And you know what? Hey, there's nothing that Vicky Mboko, in my mind, can't accomplish. And I would put her in there as someone of a top 10 sleeper pick, if you will, as someone who could continue, doing some of the great things she's done lately and walk away with that title as well, becoming the 2nd Canadian to do so after Bianca Andreescu.
Thank you guys so much for watching us at Matchpoint Canada. If you like our work, follow along, hit the subscribe button below.